Okay, so it'd be great to discuss a little bit about what TCS is actually doing with its clients. So I know you work with companies across the financial spectrum. So I'd love to talk about a few case studies.
Sure. I think first is that banking, financial services, and insurance. If you really put all these things together, that's the largest vertical for TCS. Right? It contributes to 45% of our revenue of $8.3 billion that we clocked in financial year ending 31st of March 2011. Right? There is a survey done by IDC and American Banker, which ranks TCS as number 4 in the top 10 financial technology provider list. So if you convert it, that's based on, that ranking is based on the revenue that we accomplished. But if you convert it in terms of efforts produced, given that a lot of our efforts are produced out of lower cost locations like India, China, and Latin America, we are perhaps the number 1 technology provider to the financial institutions in the world. Right? Now, I'll probably talk about 2-3 case studies here. One is in the area of what we call as IT Services 3.0, which is nothing but technology consumption management. Right? We earlier talked about the cloud computing, virtualization, application rationalization, consolidation, and so on and so on. Most banks, they tended to do things in a silo approach, right? In terms of application systems for retail banking, for deposits, for loans, and for equities, for fixed income, and so on and so on, right? So this approach of IT Services 3.0, what it envisages is really bringing all the technology expertise that is needed to efficiently deliver a overall service to the end users, right? Now, instead of providing a, let's say, application management or a bug fixing as an SLA, we want to provide system availability as the service level which is what exactly the business wants about. This means that we need the right level of IT technology experience in terms of the domain knowledge, the technology knowledge, and so on and so on. The infrastructure experience of ability to handle mainframes to Unix and the open systems and servers and so on, as well as the operations part of it. It's about bringing all the 3 pillars of the IT services together and offer a full services and taking a portfolio approach to delivering this service. Right? Now, in that context, we have dealt with, take all these portfolios, rationalize systems. Right? If it's very common to see banks having multiple licenses of, let's say, database systems, multiple licenses of hardware, multiple licenses of many things, right? And see whether one can work with them to define this is the target operating model, this is the target strategic, let's say, point of arrival that we want to get into. And in that context, how do we go about taking this is the point of departure, this is the point of arrival, bringing about the overall transformation change. We have worked with a number of financial institutions, including one of the largest financial institutions in North America, where we have delivered savings to the tune of over $300 million by simply rationalizing the existing IT infrastructure and delivering more for less. Right? That's the first example. The second example I thought will be interesting is in line with the IT Services 3.0 and in line with the expectations of the industry to buy a service as opposed to buying pieces of it and then doing it themselves, what we call as a utility model. Right? Now, here we are talking about one of our large clients here, the Phoenix Group in the UK, and they had a problem of servicing their closed insurance policy books. Right? Now, they had more than 4 million policies. Spread across about 100+ application systems, over 1,000+ insurance product variants, right? And the cost of servicing each of these policies, was getting out of hand, and its cost per policy was just completely out of the ballpark, right? So we teamed up with Phoenix Group. We had, given that it is a regulated business, we had to set up a FSA regulated entity, and we set up what we call as Diligenta PLC, regulated entity, FSA regulated entity in Peterborough, and we we took over the entire IT infrastructure, the people, and the entire problem into this utility. And then as a first step, we said that, look, we will maintain steady state, business as usual, right? Then we brought in our TCS BaNCS, the policy administration platform, started to rationalize over 1,000 products, variants, which Diligenta had, into about 200 plus product variants, and consolidated all the 100 plus application systems that they had into one single platform, which is ours, right, into a standard operating model, into a standard operating process. And this is probably one first of its kind. And today we are running this as an utility, and as to efficiently administer open and closed book policy administration system, and to which the more policies that we are able to add, the cost per policy is going to go down, right? And that's the real utility model. It took us time, so it took us almost 3.5 years to complete this exercise. But then today we have what the industry is looking for, a true utility to service policies in the insurance line of business. That's the second example, about the utility piece. The third example, which I thought is about, we talked about the banks sometimes having the need to change their core systems, and they are a bit wary about it, and they sometimes view it as a open heart surgery, but the open heart surgery is no longer a risk, by the way, right? And at TCS, we have one of the finest core banking systems, TCS BaNCS, and it's rolled out into some of the large financial institutions, like State Bank of India or Bank of China, having tens and thousands of branches successfully. And it's a huge transformation that was accomplished, probably one of the largest core banking transformation that ever accomplished in the world today, right? In line with that, what I'm going to talk about is the case that we have done with Deutsche Bank, right? Deutsche Bank has, like most banks, have very clearly, from an IT systems perspective, they have a home market strategy and they have an international market strategy. And looking at the growth ambitions of the bank, they were dealing with a number of core systems in various countries, and they wanted to really look at one consolidated infrastructure which will give them the ability to standardize the products, ability to standardize or centralize the operations, and be in a position to install the application in a multi-entity architecture. That is, install it in one place, and different countries have access to this in different time zones. So that's something that we started to partner with them. We rolled out TCS BaNCS as a core banking infrastructure for international banking operations. We jointly decided on a model office approach, by which we rolled out a model office, model bank, where the products are standardized, the checks and balances are standardized, the training infrastructure is standardized, the data migration exercise is industrialized, and so on, right? And it's very heartening to note that that's fairly successful, and within the first year we could roll out 2 countries, and we are working on the 3rd and 4th country as we speak right now.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I think that's given IT heads across the banking world plenty to think about, and I think that's about all we have time for. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it.